So today we're going to take a look at the brand new Quantum Strive. We're going to compare that to the Shimano Nasci. This is our #1 selling $100 reel. It's an incredible reel. It's probably one of the most popular reels in the market at $100. And we're going to see how these two reels compare. So I was pretty excited when I saw this reel at ICAST over the summer. I love to see new products come out there, and with a brand like Quantum, things are pretty interesting here. To hear what they did about the freshwater bass market, they kind of abandoned that altogether. They've got two reels now. This is their entry-level reel, the Strive. They've got the Benchmark as well. They've got the Myth Rod, so they're coming into the saltwater game pretty hard here. So I had to fish with my buddy Brent from See Ya Dude a few months back. I'll link the video right here. We caught tons and tons of redfish. But funny story to that video, I actually forgot all of my fishing gear when I showed up to his house to go fishing with him. Had all my camera gear with me, left all my fishing stuff, thought it was going to be a rough day. But he happened to have some of these that Quantum had sent out to him. Let me tell you, after 20-something fish that we caught that day, this $100 reel absolutely blew me away. We were fishing redfish, mainly up in the mangroves. We caught some in the more open water too once the tide fell out. But mainly we were fishing kind of high tide first thing in the morning up in the mangroves. The fish were deep up in the mangroves and it took plenty of power to get them out. This thing has tons and tons of drag, and it's super smooth drag too. A lot of times on these cheaper, more entry-level reels, you're not getting a great drag system. That's not the story here. This thing's super smooth. We put some, upper 20-inch fish on. We caught a couple fish over 30 inches as well on these, and again, I was just blown away. Drag system super smooth. The reel itself is super smooth, and in that situation with high drag in the mangroves, no flex to this thing at all. I really enjoyed fishing this thing. So let's go ahead and let's kind of go over some of the features on this new Quantum Strive. So you're looking at all aluminum frame here. So you've got a side plate on the side there to get into the gear case for service or, just maintenance on it, whatever you need to do. You've got a side plate there, pretty standard. This thing's not, it's definitely heavy. We'll get into all the specs, later on in the video, and we'll see how they compare to the Nasci, but definitely a little heavy. This reel feels very, I mean this in a good way. I'm not a big pen fan, but I mean this in a good way. It feels pen-like to me. It feels a little heavy. It's definitely smoother than a lot of the pen stuff out there, and kind of has a little bit of a similar look to it too, but it's a great looking reel. So all silver, aluminum body. The drag we're looking at here, they're calling their CFX 200 drag. So what you're getting here is carbon fiber discs like normal. They're alternated with stainless steel washers. So you're getting tons of capacity. The stainless steel in there helps keeps it very, very smooth. And the other thing they're doing really cool with this reel too is you can see it on the rotor right there. This is their sealing technology. They're calling it C-lock protection. So you've got a sealed drag, you've got a sealed body. It's got gaskets everywhere. They've got a cool graphic that kind of shows the location of those, but that's getting you an IPX6 rating, and I like to see that kind of stuff. IPX4, IPX5, I think it's so stupid to put on a reel. Penn does that on some of their reels, and look up the definition of some of those IPX ratings. The fact that they would even put that on a reel kind of blows my mind because it's nothing to brag about. So with IP ratings, IP stands for ingress protection. The X indicates solid objects, so if there was a resistance to solid objects like dust or particles, whatever, that would be there, but it doesn't really matter as far as water is concerned. And then the number indicates the strength of the protection. So IPX6 means it can resist high pressure water jets. So think about things like splashing. If you're on a kayak situation or a windy day on a boat, rods in the rod holder, the boat's spraying water out, the wind's blowing it back up, this thing is going to resist every single last drop of conditions like that. And to have a rating like that on a $99 reel really does not exist anywhere in the market. This is the only reel, to my knowledge, that has protection like that. If I'm missing something, let me know down in the comments. But as far as I'm aware, I don't think there's a $99 reel on the market that has an IPX6 rating like this one does. So Nasci really doesn't need as big of an introduction. A lot of people know about this reel. A lot of people fish this reel. Like I said in the intro, this is our #1 selling $99 reel, and it's for good reason. This reel is super, super smooth in the hand. It's got that great Shimano feel. 99 bucks, like I said, it's not going to break the bank. So if you're someone that needs a bunch of setups, or just you're new to fishing and you don't want to buy a cheap Walmart setup, or you're upgrading from that, this price point is great, and this is a great option in there. So you're not getting a metal body in this reel like you are with the Strive, but what you are getting that's metal, and very high quality metal for that, is the main gear. Obviously it's going to be metal. We're not looking at plastic gears, but we're getting their cold forged Hagane gear system in there. So you're not looking at cast gears, you're looking at cold forged. They got these big giant machines that are pressing down the metal. It makes a very, very hard and very, very durable product. And along with the gearing conversation, this thing also has X ship. So if you're familiar with how spinning reels work, you've got your main gear, which turns along with the handle, you know, on that axis going that way. And then the main shaft is what the spool goes over going that direction. So there's got to be a way, you know, to get the rotation of this axis to this axis. And the pinion gear is what does that. So the pinion gear is a little sleeve, usually brass, slides right over the main gear. So the technology here that's really great is called X-ship. So they're putting a bearing on both the front side towards the drag and the back side of that pinion gear. And here's what that does for you. So when you're under load, like in the situations I was talking about before, if you're fishing tighter drags, fish in the mangroves, or just big fish in that for that matter, where you're putting lots and lots of pressure on them, sometimes you're gonna have a tendency for that main shaft to slide or just wanna bend a little bit just from the force. When that thing bends, since the pinion gear's around that, the pinion gear's going with it. So sometimes that can make the main gear skip the pinion gear a little bit if they pull far enough apart. So two bearings, the one on either side of that, just really make sure that under any load whatsoever, the pinion gear and the main gear are meshing together perfectly at all times. Then this reel is core protect as well, and they're not giving an IPX rating with this reel. However, core protect is basically, they're a little vague with it, but obviously there's seals all over the place, both in the roller bearing and in the body of the reel and in the drag of the reel. But basically what they're saying is they made this reel extremely water resistant without affecting the smoothness. And if you feel something like a Van Staal and you've never felt one before, you're gonna pick it up and you're gonna go, why is this 500 bucks? Why is this 800 bucks? It is not smooth. Usually the more you waterproof a reel, the more you tighten things up and more seals you put on, you make sure water can't get in, you're affecting that rotational feel. So Core Protect is just a way of water resistance that does not add rotational resistance to the reel. So let's get into the specs of these reels and let's go back to the Strive. So here's the specs for the Strive 3000. So this reel has a gear ratio of 6.2 to 1. Has a max drag of 20 pounds, weighs 11.7 ounces, has line capacity of 275 yards of 15-pound braid, retrieves 35 inches of line per crank, and has 4 bearings. Now here's the specs for the Shimano Nasci, also 3000 size. This reel's got also a gear ratio of 6.2 to 1, the same max drag of 20 pounds. It weighs significantly less at 8.5 ounces. Definitely got a lot less line capacity as well. It's still a lot though, 200 yards of 10 pound. It's got 36 inches of line per crank and it has 6 bearings. So you're looking at 2 more. So let's take these reels in the hand now. Let's get them up close and see how they feel. All right, so here's the Strive in the hand, and definitely first thing, I know it's a little heavy. You can definitely feel that, but I really like the handle on this reel. So it's rubberized and it's pretty flat. I mean, it's got kind of an egg type shape to the side profile on it, but it's this kind of rubberized flat paddle handle, and it's a little oversized, but I really like it. It's very comfortable in the hand, but smoothness is great. This reel feels very, very good, and it just looks phenomenal. It looks like quality. It looks more expensive than 99 bucks. But yeah, it feels great. Let's see what the bail feels like. Bail feels good. I like that hard click going back and coming forward. Doesn't bite you bad at all coming back or going through. It just feels good. Feels like it should. The drag sounds like this. Kind of dampened a little bit, not super bell-like, but good sounding drag, and I know for a fact it sounds better when a fish is taking it. Yeah, overall it just obviously feels like a phenomenal reel, because it is. All right, Nasci in hand, and obviously it's significantly lighter, but this is definitely a little bit smaller of a 3000 size than the 3000 Strive. So there's a little bit of difference there, in size, which is going to attribute to some of that weight as well. But smoothness feels good. Definitely a little smoother, like less startup inertia here than the Strive, but this is definitely a little bit smoother. I'll give it that. I like the handle as well on this one. I'm very used to these T-style handles on the Shimano reels. This is kind of my favorite style of handle on a 3K size. The flat paddle, rubberized there, so I like that a lot. Let's hear the bail now. Bail feels good. Doesn't really have a hard click back, like a noise, but that's fine. Not that big a deal at all. Still feels just fine. Drag sounds like this. A little more dampened, kind of similar to the Strive. but a little more Shimano sounding, obviously. But once again, great looking reel. Kind of this darker, a little bit darker silver than the Strive, but yeah, phenomenal. So it's that time. You're looking for a new reel. Do you buy the Nasci? Do you buy the Strive? So I want to break down two scenarios. I think both of these are absolutely phenomenal reels. They're going to work very, very well in almost every situation. However, here's a situation where I think the Strive is a better reel. So being all metal, it's a lot more bulky. It's going to be a lot more durable over time. So I think if you're someone that fishes bait a lot, you're not as worried. You're probably not making as many casts per day as someone fishing artificials. The extra weight is not going to give you as much fatigue, fishing bait as if you were fishing artificials. So if you're fishing bait, I think this is going to be a better reel for you. Just being all metal, it's going to be so durable for you. Or if you're a charter captain, you're going to buy a bunch of these, you're going to put them in clients' hands, and you might not know the clients at all, or you might not know them very well. You don't know what their capabilities are. You don't know how they are with gear. You're not going to be as worried if you've got this in their hand, knowing it's all metal and going to be way more durable for you. Or if you're a kayak fisherman, I think this is a great option as well, and kind of for the same reasons. Being so durable, it's bumping rod holders, it's bumping the kayak itself while it's in the rod holders. It's going to get more wet in a kayak than if it was in a boat or if you were wading with it probably. And so for kayak fishermen, I think this is a better reel as well. Now, if you're someone that fishes artificials a lot, I think you're really going to appreciate the maybe a little bit better smoothness of the Nasci. You're definitely going to appreciate the weight difference. This reel's significantly lighter in the hand. Obviously, we can feel it right away. If you come in the store, grab them both, you're going to feel it's a pretty significant weight difference. So if you got the rod and reel in your hand, you're making casts one after another like all day, I think you're really going to appreciate the Nasci. But they're both phenomenal reels, and they're both going to work great in just about any situation. Let us know what you think in the comments. Do you fish the Nasci? What do you think of it? Are you looking to purchase one, or have you already purchased a Strive? Let us know what you think about it down below. That's it, guys. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. Please hit that like button, guys, if you liked the video, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything in the future.